I can't claim to speak for all conservatives. Nobody can speak for anybody else, really. But as a guy with a conservative YouTube channel, I've read thousands of comments on my hundreds of opinion videos. So I have a lens that's not available to my liberal friends. What is the comment that I hear most that also seems to sum up the conservative mind? It goes like this: just leave us alone. I've seen a version of this comment countless times. It's not aimed at me, it's aimed at the American left. It's very simple, isn't it? Seems like nothing, almost a non statement. But truly, it's the undergirding desire that gets a conservative into the voting booth. They just want to be left alone. I have many friends who call themselves progressives. I think of them as the politically engaged wing of the larger group we call liberals. They are the activists, the ones with the strong opinions. They're the ones who get on the phone before an election and really do try to influence results by persuasion, as opposed to a quiet conservative who only ever influences by example. The recent Time magazine explanation of how the 2020 election was won gives you a vivid picture of what I call progressives. To a Trump enthusiast, the enormous effort recounted in that story seems like an all out assault on our electoral system. But to an activist left of center, it seems like the game of politics being played at championship level. And these two reactions demonstrate a natural divide among humans, the difference in temperament that's been spun into an industry of division. What is now hostile in the extreme began with a basic disagreement as universal as the differences between male and female, and it has a lot to do with an understanding of progress. There are very few Americans living as their grandparents did, and our grandparents didn't live as their grandparents did. Progress is everywhere. Neither party owns it. A progressive will explain their ideology as simply embracing progress. They will tell you that conservatives are anti-progress. That's nonsense. But I think that there's a semantic difference muddying the waters. Both sides embrace most forms of progress. The divide is mainly about social progress and how that should happen. For conservatives, the word progress is a noun, and for progressives, it's a verb. A conservative thinks of progress as the millions of little adjustments to human society that happen organically, everywhere, every day, and all at once. These can best be seen by comparisons between time frames, as I did a minute ago in reference to our grandparents and their grandparents. Conservatives think, oh, look at the progress we've made. Noun. Progressives, on the other hand, see progress as a mission. They think that the important ideas occur to smart people with advanced degrees who have written a popular book. The ideas are then turned into human advancement through activism inside and outside of government. The process is to popularize an idea to the point of critical mass left of center, and to then enshrine it into federal law, forcing all Americans to comply. They see progress as inorganic, as the term social engineering reveals. They think we must progress our society. Verb. It's no coincidence that virtually any hero that a young progressive can name rose up through activism. These are just 10 that I thought of off the top of my head on the morning I was preparing this video. Progressives believe that unless they are forever pushing forward, society will collapse back into the primitive past. This causes them to search endlessly for examples of such almost extinct patterns as racism and homophobia. Unless social progress is vulnerable to mass regression, they have no mission in life. Over time, they've cast conservatives as the villains in the story of their own hero's journey. I say this as a guy who spent over 3 decades as a voting Democrat. If you were designing a car for the 2025 model year, you would be trying to change every aspect of the vehicle in a noticeable way. Automotive designers employ a progressive mindset. Like political progressives, they see themselves as innovators, futurists even. We see their wild prototypes every year at the car show, but few ever make it to the showroom floor because most wild ideas are impractical. The changes that we do see each year are incremental. In a car or a society, form must follow function. And to be widely accepted, change must be widely acceptable. You can't have half of the population forcing the other half to adopt radical changes to the society we all share. But that's the system we're living under with progressives in charge of the culture. Comply or be punished. Cancel culture is simply Orwell's thought police being crowdsourced. Silicon Valley is where progressive futurism meets the real world. Those who have been watching our civilization destroy itself now understand that immediately adopting everything that came out of Silicon Valley was a very bad idea. Social media turned out to be largely antisocial, and it now serves as a super spreader for a slew of bad ideas left and right. Just an aside while we're in Silicon Valley, it's no coincidence that more Apple users are liberal than conservative. That was intentional marketing. Even if there's no appreciable problem with your current iPhone, you'll be in line for the next one as soon as it comes out, right? When change for its own sake becomes a philosophy, a person is susceptible to unnecessary upgrades. Just, because. Conservatives tend to use Android phones, and we keep them until the battery dies. We are very fond of free markets over here on the right, and that includes the marketplace of ideas, where good ideas win on their merits and bad ones die for lack of interest. But the political sphere is different. This is where ideas are turned into laws by the barest of majorities. Half the country can end up being coerced to live by notions that never even had to be proven sound. Do you see the problem? We owe each other the time it takes to really consider ideas and then to test them in states and cities where everybody agrees to test them. That becomes the free market filter that we need. Experimentation over time is the sorting process. A good example is the minimum wage. Given the wide variance in cost of living, it's just silly to think that one minimum wage should apply both to rural Kansas and downtown San Francisco. Is it any wonder that rural Kansans want you to leave them alone? Human nature doesn't change except very, very gradually. Conservatives, while largely rejecting Darwin's insights, understand our inherent weaknesses. Progressives, while fully acknowledging that we are big-brained apes, nevertheless convince each other that human nature can be changed by legislation and the stigmatization that is cancel culture. Everywhere in society these days, we see that the tribal essence of human beings is still much in evidence. Dumb algorithms have learned to keep us angry, as have opportunistic humans who are riding that anger to fame and fortune. We need first to understand that we are not as smart as we think we are. Then we need calm and stability. We need self-reflection. We need wisdom. Today, the furious pace of social change has produced a generation of youngsters with no idea of what's expected of them, let alone what will be expected of them 10 years from now. Girls are cutting themselves and starving themselves, and if that doesn't bring relief, many are trying to turn themselves into males, while real males are so disaffected that they spend 10 hours a day acting out macho fantasies with video games and free porn. We need to slow down, have a look at what is working or not working, and discuss solutions without turning everything into a partisan insult fight. For this, we need to accept that the design of our species includes those who will always push for the new and those who will work to preserve the tried and true. It's not a flaw, as they say, it's a feature. The change addict and the change skeptic are two sides of the coin that buys us a sane progression across the centuries. From the known past to the unknown future, neither can map the way ahead without influence from the other. Two heads are better than one, right? But not if only one of the heads is allowed to speak. What that old saying really means is that two types of heads are better than one. So when something comes up that needs to change, make the case. Don't attack us, don't bully us, just demonstrate to us why changing is better than not changing. We'll listen, and in the meantime, just leave us alone. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.